Welcome to part 3 of my lectures on central banking in the United States. So where we left off in part 2 was that the First National Bank of the United States had been allowed to die, I think it was around 1807, 1808, and a lot of people were not sorry to see it go. Now the thing is, there were people who still said, we really do need this, okay? There's stuff that this national bank could actually do if we had one. And so it didn't really go away as an issue. But the thing is, these Democratic Republicans were in charge for 24 years in the United States. And these are some good and famous presidents here. Okay, so we've got Jefferson. He doesn't want the bank. He's followed by Madison. He doesn't want the bank. He's followed by Monroe. He doesn't want the bank. Which is all well and good. Parties are allowed to have their likes and dislikes, and none of these guys is thought of as being a bad president. But so there's this idea of a bank that doesn't go away, though. So we had this Federalist Party, and the Federalist Party kind of reorganized, and the same people ended up in a party called the Whigs. Okay, so it really is not terribly different from the Federalists, just a little more recent. And so the Whigs are the up-and-coming party of the 1820s, and in the election of 1824, they elect a president who is John Quincy Adams, the son of our second president, John Adams. And John Quincy Adams, he's a Whig, he's in favor of the bank. He's the son of John Adams, who is a Federalist, who is in favor of the bank, and so we get this Second National Bank of the United States. Now the thing is, the Second National Bank has some more serious issues than the First National Bank, wasn't run quite as well. Was a little more obvious on the national stage, probably in a way that wasn't very positive. And we still had sectional conflict within the United States. The Whigs are still the party of the North. Okay? The Democratic Republicans have evolved into the Democratic Party. Okay, the same one that we have today. And the Democratic Party at this point is the party of the South, but also the West. Now this is the 1820s, so the West we're talking about is places like Missouri and Illinois and Kentucky and places like that. But so there's more political power in the South and West. So these Whigs, they really need to be popular in order to win an election. They do that in 1824, just barely. In 1828, they lose quite badly to Andrew Jackson. Now, Jackson, he hates the Second National Bank of the United States. He hates banks in general. Okay, he's a very fiery person, very much like Donald Trump, to be honest with you. A lot of people compare Trump to Jackson. And Jackson did some good things and some bad things, but he was, mortally opposed to the Second National Bank of the United States. And he was supported by his constituencies in the South and the West. Okay? Now remember what had happened earlier. Okay? The South was rich but illiquid. So they got issues with bankers. Okay? And the West is just poor. Okay, so they've got issues with bankers. The North now is actually the richer part of the country because trade had really started to take off after about 1810. They had a huge and successful whaling industry developing, and so they were doing a lot of whale processing, which was a good cash crop at that point. And so they were both richer and more liquid. So you can imagine what happens. The bank is seen as being a creature of rich Northerners in Boston and New York and Philadelphia, taking advantage of illiquid Southerners in, now they're getting into Alabama and Louisiana, places like that, and poor Westerners in places like Indiana and Tennessee. So Andrew Jackson, again, he goes out and he kills the Second National Bank of the United States. and this goes away towards the end of the 1830s. Okay, and for the last several years, it's actually kind of a zombie institution, not really having a role that it's allowed to play seriously, kind of floundering in what it's actually doing, and being substituted with other sorts of banks around the country. Kind of a really messy situation. All right, that wraps up part 3. I'll see you in part 4.